Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the reptile room. Today we're taking a quick look at my procedure for feeding and cleaning for juvenile Pac-Man frogs like this one here. This is a tan morph Pac-Man frog, so we're going to be cleaning up their little bellies and we're going to be feeding them. And today, salmon is on the menu. Of course, I'm going to have to cut this down to bite-sized chunks for these guys and dust it with this. This is just a multivitamin with calcium and D3. Keeps them healthy, keeps them strong. And now what I'll do is I'll take a little bowl of water like such. Generally speaking, I'll add some water conditioner to it, which I'll show in a brief second here. Those are my feeding tongs. There's that water conditioner I was talking about. That's going to take all the chlorine and chloramines out of the water to make it safe for the frogs. So now I'm just going to fold up these paper towels so they fit in the delis, and I'm going to place them into my treated water. I'm going to do all 17 in one fell swoop, so I'm ready to just bust out when we get started. Here's the salmon. I'm just cutting it down to more palatable sizes for these guys. They can theoretically eat food about the size of their body, but I feed them smaller meals more frequently, just so that I can observe them and make sure that no risk of choking is happening. That's the multivitamin I'm dusting on there. So we're all good to go on that. I've clicked the tongs to activate them, so now I know that they work. So here we go. We'll start off with our first little guy here. So he's just on a paper towel that I change out every day. I'm going to take that out. If there's excess water, I'll spill that out as well. But then I take my fresh one from the treated water and I'll just pop that in there. For adults, this isn't ideal, but for juveniles this works great because Pac-Man frogs don't discriminate between what's food and what isn't. They might eat their substrate. And as babies, they can tend to get a little bunged up. Their intestines are quite small yet. As adults, they kind of grow out of that / learn how to eat better. So I'm just going to time-lapse things along so we don't have a half-hour long video here. You can see I'm just grabbing these little chunks of salmon and sort of bumping them in the face with it. Their reflex is essentially just to grab it, or sometimes to run away. They're going to suck that down into their gullet. You can see they'll use their little arms to help straighten it out so it's easier to get down. Okay, this guy here is a little bit picky, so you can see if they don't want to eat right away, you can sort of harass them with it, rub them with it. These guys will be irritated into eating too. If something's annoying them, their solution is to just kind of put it in their mouth. So, good for them. Works great for them to solve their problems. It doesn't work great for us. So carrying on now, we're moving through some more frogs. We're into the apricot morph now. These are a little bit brighter than the tan. That's a big chunk there, but he's working it down. They're pretty tenacious little buggers. They'll just keep going until they get whatever it is they're eating down into their gullet. The chocolate and tan do look quite similar, the difference just being the level of dark coloration in them essentially, and the little highlights around the speckled patterns on their backs. So these guys are from South America. We formerly used to feed them bugs always, and we still do offer them bugs, but many studies have suggested that in the wild, that's not a majority of their diet. You can see here he's going to blink real hard in a sec. That's actually how frogs will push food down into their stomach. If you look into their open mouth, you can actually see the backs of their eyes there, and they'll just use those eyes to shove that food down into the throat essentially. There we go, there it is. Okay, carrying it on. So yeah, as I was saying, they've conducted some studies in South America, and they've noticed that these guys will eat, pretty much anything they can, whether it be small rodents, lizards, arthropods, other frogs, little snakes, they'll eat it all. So I've started to offer them more prey items. This guy here is a little clumsy, so I'm going to show you that what a bite from a Pac-Man frog is like. It's really quite nothing. They do have teeth, but they're very small, and they don't have a great bite force, so it just kind of feels like you've upset Grandma at the retirement home, and she doesn't have her dentures in, but she bites you, essentially, and it's just kind of a weird gummy feeling. They can't really do much to you. This little guy coming up, he's a friendly little fella. He just hops right out onto me. So when holding amphibians, you do want to be mindful of the fact that they have granular skin. They will absorb things that they touch. So the oils on your hands can potentially be harmful for them. I did wash my hands very thoroughly before doing this with non-scented soaps, Baby bottle soap essentially works great. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Here's an idea of appropriate setup for a Pac-Man frog that's a little bit more established. This guy's about the size of a golf ball. I just give it a nice misting every day, and I'll feed him every other, alternating between bits of different types of fish and different sorts of bugs, like these guys are quite fond of hornworms. I just like to squirt the frog down himself a little bit. Frogs do shed very frequently, and if they're too dried up, they can't do that very well. So this enclosure works quite well for him. It's a ABG mix substrate loaded up with springtails and dwarf white isopods, so it helps keep the substrate nice and clean. That said, I still do want to keep an eye on ammonia levels. Frogs do pee a lot, and you want to make sure that substrate stays safe for them and can't hurt them. I also have some live plants in there to complete the tiny little ecosystem that a bioactive is. And then of course I'm going to fill up his water dish with some treated water. It's important to make sure that the water dish you use is shallow and textured enough that they can get out of it. They're not the grippiest little guys, so if it's just a ceramic bowl, they might get in, but might not be able to get out. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Come by, check them out. We got lots of these little fellas at the shop, and have a fantastic day, everyone.